Morning.
Happy New Year,
Morning to
and
everybody. Happy New Year.
we'll go ahead and get started when you're ready to open your opening statement.
Yeah, it's 2022. In some ways, it doesn't seem a lot different than last year with some of the COVID stuff that is obviously a very hot topic and understandable. It's been an interesting time since Missouri for us. From the standpoint, it's been a little bit different. Obviously, we enjoyed our Christmas break coming off that Missouri game. And then on reentry on the 26th, just had as university policy, had to test back in. And we were hit with a boatload of positive tests that have kept us sidelined. Obviously, we're following university protocols. We're following CDC protocols. So we have been at literally at the day-to-day updates. Obviously, going from 10 days to 5 days was impactful. Obviously, the Big Ten, their involvement, not having forfeits, moving to cancellations or postponements and not forfeits, was fantastic, as we got an opportunity to reschedule. Obviously, not having the ability to play, instead of forfeit, you've got to have 7 guys and a coach. That's just makes sense, and we do have a little bit of time on our hands to redo that. Hence, appreciative of the cooperation of Minnesota. It worked out great with them in terms of them having a bye after our game, but not be able to play on Sunday, and then to be able to reschedule this here in the last couple of days to get an opportunity to play and I think keep everything in perspective, that there's tremendous value in a Big Ten championship, to try to get us all the games in. It pinches us on the back end, but that's okay. It's COVID. NCAA tournament's a 1-day prep. But again, so we've had a couple days here back with the majority of our group, and they came back at different times due to some inconclusive tests taken on the first day, which then had to be taken the next day. We're following all the protocols with guys wearing masks they're coming out of their positive test. We'll see what that looks like for tomorrow's game. I don't know yet, but it's been a very different Christmas break. Instead of having 2-a-days, we did nothing. So we've done very, very little activity at all. The guys who were positive, and we've had 10 in our group that were positive. So they have done nothing. They've been secluded and stuck away in their apartments. So we'll in trying to get them back touching a basketball. Obviously, the 3 days off with the mandatory NCAA Christmas break right after, you're looking at a long period of time where guys haven't had a ball in their hand, haven't done anything physically at all. So we're back, and we're going to play a game tomorrow. We're going to play against a very, very good Minnesota team, who Ben, in my opinion, has done just an unbelievable job of putting a team together. 8-9 transfers. They're old. They've done it with upperclassmen. In my opinion, I've got a lot of respect for the way they've put that team together, because they've got it with old guys, and they have been extremely surprising, I think, to everybody in terms of the road wins early. They've got 3 Power 5 road wins. And they've done it with great offense, great the inability to never turn the ball over, and they've guarded the 3-point line extremely well as they move into conference play. So we know we've got our hands full, and we'll see what that looks like, and we'll progress. And You know, the it's always next man up kind of mentality. It's been that for us all semester. I think we've had 3 guys suit up every game for us, and so everybody's got to be prepared. Everybody's got to be ready, and we know that we're going to have our hands full in the barn.
Brad, respecting individuals' privacy, can you speak to the severity of COVID among the positive cases?
I mean, I think everybody's different, so I'm not going to go through every player singular. I mean, it's impacted everybody differently. So, you know, some of the cases were mild, some were more severe. So it's just been, you know, a positive is a positive, and it doesn't matter the severity of it, truthfully.
And if I'm understanding, are there some guys that may play tomorrow that have not yet practiced? And what might conditioning be like? What might conditioning be like tomorrow?
We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Guys have practiced. We have. I think that was one of the big concerns is welfare of our student athletes coming back after having such a long layover or layoff, excuse me. And part of that was with the NCAA Christmas break, and you know, we've got a lot of people doing a lot of different things. Some not testing, some testing. So it's a challenge that way, because those guys didn't do anything. We did nothing. So obviously conditioning is going to be something that's important, and we don't want to jeopardize our student athletes long term by putting them out there playing at the highest levels. They're all high level athletes, and then putting them in a situation where they can be hurt because they haven't had any time to practice. And so we've had a couple of days, and that's what we've got.
Brad, are there guys going to be wearing masks while they play? Is that what you're saying?
To be determined. Yes, it's part of CDC policy. If you've watched any games on TV, Rob, I watched the Wisconsin game the other night. They had a young man in a mask. I watched Boston College, North Carolina yesterday. Boston College had players in masks. So, you know, I think there's some, you know, some interesting challenges with that. I don't know where we're going to be at with that in our process in terms of levels and so on and so forth. But again, those are things I just defer to our medical team and the Big Ten's medical officers.
Will there be any changes at the university level, DIA level, or team level in your day-to-day operations and protocols to prevent spread?
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think we're definitely all masked up in our building. I think we're very conscientious of how we travel and wearing masks and understanding we're getting on airplanes, we're getting in buses. You know, I think the thing is, Rob, you can't just do it at home, you know, and that's one of the great challenges. You know, not everybody's doing the same thing. We got teams that around the country that aren't testing. There's still a lot of games going on. So, you know, what you do at home can't just be at home. You know, it's got to be something that's when you go on the road and play and compete on the road, you know, it's you know, we're still exposed to all those things on the road as well.
Last one for me, following up on that. All the guys seem pretty excited about going home for Christmas when we talk to them. Are there any regrets now looking back at letting them all out in the world?
No, I think at the time we were dialed into what was happening in the United States. I think we were obviously concerned about the variant and what it was, but again, you know, we've got a group that is that everybody here in this building right now is vaccinated, and so you feel like we've done everything that we could possibly do to help protect it, and yet we know that this variant spreads quickly and is very easily obtainable. So unfortunately or fortunately, depends how you want to look at it, we got a bunch of guys with it.
Thanks.
Brad, you said 10 in your group. Are those all players?
10 in our group. Yes, 10 in our group.
Okay. So all the
So
10
we
is,
did not meet the 7. We did not meet the level of 7 to play in any type of game over that time period.
sure.
No coaches had it.
Okay. Are you guys testing again every day?
We are testing for various levels of what is, and I'm going to mess this up. I should probably have a medical expert, but for various levels of where it's transmittable. There's certain levels of it, and again, CDC policies. So our guys who have been positive are testing to make sure their levels are at a certain point, and it gets them away from mask wearing, and it gets them able to do that. So those guys are tested.
Okay. Did you expect this? I mean, at some point this season, did you go into this realm of saying we're probably going to be on pause at some point?
I didn't know if we would be on pause simply because of the vaccine. I think this is a completely different time, Brett, than a year ago. Last year, there was so many unknowns. Last year, we were all doing the same thing. We spent all fall, all summer, putting a plan together. And obviously the variant came back. It's winter. It's sick. It's, we've had guys with bronchitis. We've had guys with strep throat. We've had guys with the flu, and we've played. It's that time of year. I thought the ability to be vaccinated, potentially have everybody boosted, as we work through that process as well, would allow us to have a season. And but I thought that we eliminated contact tracing pretty much because of the vaccine. So I figured we would have issues, but I didn't know if we would have a pause.
Thanks.
Hey, Brad, do you expect the entire team to be available tomorrow?
Minus Austin Hutcherson and Andre Curbelo.
And then,
yes.
okay. And then, is there anything you said, fortunately or unfortunately, I guess the timing of this would be better than February or March for you guys. So is there any different kind of policy with the guys who've had it now moving forward? Like, is there any different protocol that they have to follow or don't have to follow?
Yeah, Jeremy, I think that's still to be determined. I don't think, I don't know this yet. I mean, we don't know if you can still contract this if you've had it. So in what has been this virus to this point, it's been very hard to get it. That's why they've set aside the 90 days, policy. So I hope that means we're good, with those guys. But again, I as soon as I say that, then we'll have somebody get it again in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So I don't want to speak out of turn there, but I hope so. I hope that's truly the case, and that 90 days is a pretty good qualifier for what looks like getting us through the end of the season.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Coach, I guess I'll kind of take this another way. You've spoken a lot about the toughness and maybe lack thereof this season for your team, having been out for the last however many days, limited practice time, guys coming in and out. How much is this game against Minnesota and then a quick turnaround against Maryland going to test that, and where you guys are at with that?
Absolutely. And I think it's the it's I don't want to say the culmination, but being able to have so many guys out through the fall, which we have, and guys play different positions, has created an atmosphere where guys have played and guys have gotten minutes, and guys are going to have to do that. And it's not just this game; it's the Maryland game after on Thursday. It's to say that we're at our peak would probably be stating something that's not true, being off that long. But it's next man up, and everybody's got to go in and contribute and do their part. And we're gonna strive to be the best we can for the 40 minutes it takes on Tuesday night.
You speak a lot about how when you guys are trying to build toughness, it's on the defensive end. It's being able to fight through when you're tired, or go to the free throw line and make a bucket when you need it. Is that something that's going to be more difficult potentially tomorrow night because of the conditioning aspect of things with guys being out of practice?
Well, the one thing you can never underestimate is the great drug of adrenaline. And that helps you persevere and push through some tough times. So, you know, it's a little bit different in practice, and we've gone, you know, as hard as we feel like we can go, and not just put our guys in an uncomfortable situation. But yeah, there's no doubt game speed's different. You know, there's no doubt they'll get a little tired a little quicker, but I think once they get their second win, adrenaline kicks in, some of these guys will be fine. And again, I should mention, Alec, I think everybody's different. You know, Trent Frazier's got a little different body type and athleticism and ability to recover quicker than what, you know, you or Jeremy Warner may be able to do, you know. So it's one of those deals that everybody's got a little bit of a different capacity there.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Hey, Brad, you were discussing boosters before all this happened. Is that something that's still in progress with the team?
Yes. We've got a group that's had them, and we've got a group who are on a little bit different timeline based on when they got their first and second booster.
Okay. And I guess maybe with these plans during, you know, the Christmas break to go 2-a-days, what weren't you able to tackle that you wanted to, since you couldn't practice?
All of it. I mean, you know, it's nice when you want to go an hour and a half or 2 hours of offense in the morning and an hour and a half of defense in the afternoon, and really separate the two, and really get in and be specific on certain things, and not have convoluted practices where it's all kind of one together, and you get really focused. And you know, we missed that. So obviously we missed a game, not being able to play Florida A&M and get the opportunity to get the kinks out and kick the rust off, so to speak. And now we've got to, you know, we're not the only team in the country that's going through this, and you know, we didn't get the rust off, but we got a league game, and it is what it is. We got to go hoop.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Brad, obviously this has been a big disruption for you guys. And like you said, you're not the only team. I'm wondering, do you think that continuing to test the way you guys have is creating a competitive disadvantage for you guys, or are you not concerned about that?
Our league, we will not test. We're not testing for the positive, whether we're positive or negative. We're testing for the levels of, because we're out of the 5-day window now with everybody. So once at this point in time, I'll be clear because everything can change day to day. Our testing was university mandated. It was back based on re-entry back into the university. And that's what we did. So because of our vaccination, and everybody that's here in this building is vaccinated, that we will not test further than that. This is just for the levels of the mask wearing and whether this thing's contagious.
So to be clear, like if somebody has symptoms going forward, like they won't need to be tested unless they want one.
If you're symptomatic, you will test.
Okay. Just want to be clear. And then is that an Illinois specific thing right now, or the Big Ten does not have that in place? Is that correct?
No, everybody's different. This is a
Okay.
DIA. This is our DIA university policy. And that's where everybody's got local governments and state. And I think that's when the initial policies were put in place in August to forfeit. You know, those were the decisions the Big Ten made and athletic directors at that time to make that decision. Now the variant has come back, and those decisions were rethought a little bit, and we got away from the forfeiture, but we've also left it very much at the discretion of local governments and the universities.
Thank you.
Brad, would you have liked to see a standard procedure across the Big Ten for coming back from Christmas break?
Well, you're trying to get me in hot water, Joey. I think that it's I don't know how to answer that. I think that we're at a point because of the vaccine that that's a tough question to answer. I think that there are certain situations that can be a competitive imbalance for teams that test, teams that don't, and teams that look at this thing completely different. And I'm not going to get drug into the political BS of all this, but I'm just going to abide by what we have and know that we're going to do everything we can to keep our guys safe and healthy and on the right track.
Then to build off Scott's question, in your press conference at Bragging Rights, you said we're going to get back to doing what Illinois does, and that's get better over Christmas break. Obviously, this is the first full-blown pause, but you guys have had any number of some sort of interruptions dating back to when you started this. How have you handled this as a coaching staff? I mean, just seems like every day is kind of a new adventure.
It is. It has been, and it's not been. I don't want to say it's problematic. I think it's all in my approach, and I'm going to control what I can actually control, I think that's the one thing, Joey, that I learned a lot last year in this is there are certain things that I have no control over. This happens to be one of them, and I'm going to work every single day to get our guys to be the best they can be in that day, and be better the next day than we were yesterday. And no matter what's happened the day before, that's all I can ask for. And so I'm really trying to keep it like that. And you want to make plans, and you had 2-a-days lined out, and guess what? Something a lot bigger than basketball happened. And this COVID thing, it keeps popping up. So we'll be flexible, but we're going to keep working to be the best we can be all the time.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Coach, for the guys that weren't positive, whether it be initially or throughout the whole thing, were they able to practice or do anything during this time?
We did small amounts, obviously. We continued to lift them with Fletch. They were allowed in oven, allowed to be around. And then we did a lot of individual work. Again, there's obviously weren't enough to do much. And then we did shooting, kind of individual workouts for about 45 minutes to an hour every day. And then they lifted with Fletch. So there's a group of guys that did get some conditioning in.
Now you got to go a week without a Curbelo update question. So I guess I'll ask that one. Just anything new on his status or kind of how he's recovering? Yeah,
he's progressing. Again, you guys are tired of hearing that. He's made improvement, and as he continues in this process of getting back, conditioning, and his physical therapy is moving in the right direction. So we're excited and hopeful here.
Thanks.
Hi, Coach. Do you look at the stats for Minnesota? They've done a really good job defending the 3-point line. You guys rely on the three quite a bit. And what are some keys for you to get some open looks?
Make them. I think the one thing that Michigan State made 10. I think Michigan made 9. So in 2 Big Ten games, they've made 19. They've had 19 threes. They're very, very sound. They're very conservative on the defensive end. They're just right in front of you. So they make you shoot over a hand all the time. And, you've got to jump up and make them. And, we've seen some elite defenses, Arizona, everybody's kind of played us a different way. Some guys have pressured, some guys have gone over, some guys have trapped. So that's the one thing we have seen is a lot of different defenses, and we're going to shoot our shots, and everything again starts with trying to execute run good offense, not turn the ball over, and keep everybody involved.
What do you think are some other keys for you guys on Tuesday night?
Turnovers. Again, I think that's one of the areas that we're really trying to get better at. I think we're 150th in the country in turnover rate. That's much better than the 300th we were after the first 4 or 5 games. But again, I think we've got to, when you've got a top 10 offense in terms of OER, that's an area that you start really trying to nitpick on your weaknesses, and that's one of them. And that's an area that Minnesota does not do. They don't turn the ball over. I think they're 9 or 10 a game. And you can't give a very good offensive team like them too many possessions that you don't get opportunities yourself to go down to the other end and score. So, we've got to do a better job taking care of the ball.
Thanks, Coach.
Brad, anything else that stands out to you about Minnesota and keys to this game?
Yeah, I think that they've done an unbelievable job of finding a way to play. I'm really have enjoyed watching them play. Taylor Battle, a young guy that came back home, was at George Washington, been a matchup nightmare. He's had big games throughout the course of the season, and obviously Peyton Willis, kind of moving over from a wing spot back to his probably his best position at the point, has been very, very effective, and they've found a way to develop great chemistry. But again, they've done it with age. They're old. You start looking down that roster, and you got 23, 24-year-old guys out there, and they're playing the right way. Ben's put a plan in place. They're executing it. And again, it's why they're off to a great start.
Many thanks.
Brad, one more protocol question for me. We're all scheduled to be in a room with you in a couple of days. Is that satisfactory to you? Would you like to see that change? More Zoom?
Depends. If you guys wear deodorant and brush your teeth, I'm all good.
All right, thanks.
Brad, the obvious question is, does this force you in the middle of January to kind of go deeper into your bench than you normally would? And does the conditioning of your guys force you to kind of play more minutes?
Probably. I think we all monitor that. I think every game's different, Matt. I think once we get to, you start looking at the runs that take place. If they're 3 or 4 minute, 5-minute runs without any stoppage, yeah, you're probably going to have to go a little bit deeper because your recovery time may not be as quick for certain guys. I tell everybody that, being in great shape is not how long can you play. It's how quickly can you recover. And that's one of the challenges of those long runs is that it takes a little while longer to recover. So, we'll monitor all of our guys that way. And again, I think I said it earlier, it's one of the advantages of having to play, Pods and Luke and RJ and Ben, and get all those guys a lot of minutes throughout the course of the season, so they're not in shell shock when we have to put him out there in a Big Ten game.
And that was my follow-up, is it seemed like Pods had gotten some early run in the last couple of games, especially in the bragging rights game. Is that just rewarding the kid for practice, or what was that about?
Earning respect, earning it. And I mean, he's played great and in practice, and he's been a guy that I built confidence with, and I'm learning to trust what he's doing on the floor at both ends, and more so on the defensive end. And we all know he can make shots, and but it's been something we've been looking for, as a guy who can give us minutes, to help with Trent. He can play both spots, and Plummer, and DeMonte, really keeping those 3 guys minutes in an area that is manageable over the course of the long haul. And Pods has earned that right and been great.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, I'm gonna transition. We'll rejoin here in a minute with Trent.